Hi everyone, my name is Andy and welcome back to my channel Spymaster Gaming. In this video I'm going to be talking about the UK Games Expo, a 3-day bonanza held at the NEC in Birmingham dedicated to all things tabletop, role-playing, card games and board games, all types of game apart from video games really. Now when I looked at the content coverage for the expo historically, it seems to be a contest between content creators of how much swag they can amass, how much money they can spend, and then show off on their channel. And I'm going to do something a bit different because I don't think it's very realistic for the average person to aspire to, unless you are obviously minted or you've saved up a lot and you know exactly what you're going for. But for the average person attending, it's not feasible just to blow that amount of money in one session. So I am setting a little challenge for myself. I'm going to the UK Games Expo on the 3rd of June with a goal in mind of a £50 budget. What can I get for £50? What good value items can I get for that amount of money? And after I come back, I'll hopefully be able to show you and go into what I've bought. I'm also going to be doing some filming so you can get a feel of the day as well. So stay tuned for what I actually come back with. And now with that somewhat compulsory montage out of the way, I can show you what my highlights of the expo were. The first game I'd like to talk about is the first game that my friend and I demoed at the expo, which is called Scythopian Wars. A really cool little skirmish game that we saw. Futuristic setting, some really rich lore, and some quite unique factions as well. I'll just show you a couple of the factions there that they've got. The Asylumists, crazed individuals, Really cool looking models you can see at the top left there, the guy in the red hood. Really, really quite aggressive looking. And then you've got the Confederation as well, which are mech based with individuals inside them. As you can see there, really, really quite a unique style, I'd say. The game plays really well as well. It is based off action and reactions. You have a pool of action and reaction dice. Once you use them all, that's it. It goes to the next turn, and you've got different things you can do with your activations, i.e., if you're shot at, you can shoot back, very similar to an Overwatch mechanic, but even like shooting on the charge as well. It plays really, really smoothly. You can see how it scales as well. All of the rules are available for free on the website if you want to have a look. And talking to the creators as well, they are moving forward with resin production for the miniatures line. But they will be making the files available for STLs. For those of you with 3D printers, you'll be able to access the STLs as well. So it's a really good hybrid model that they're building. You've got the two factions out at the moment, as I say, the Asylumists and the Confederation, with a few more on the way as well. So check them out. The next game I'd like to talk about is a game called Celestial Affinity by Cerberus Studios. It is a very different game from what is currently on the market, purely because it is done in the 54mm scale. I talked to the designer and creator at the expo, a chap called Benjamin Lysett, really nice guy. He's designed all the sculpts himself, he's written the rules himself, and built the lore for the world as well. So he is a one-man army, so to speak. He's done a really, really good job. And as you can see from the one faction here, the human faction, some excellent sculpts, really, really nice. It's more of a medieval low fantasy, I'd describe it as, rather than high fantasy. On the tabletop, they looked absolutely incredible, which you'll probably be able to pick out from the montage footage that I've just shared with you. So aside from the humans as well, you've also got the werewolves, the vampires, and the demons as well. There are no good factions or bad factions in this. Everyone has their own opinion as to what they are, which I quite like. There's no hard and fast rule of who's good and who's bad, which is much truer to human life, real life. You know what I mean. It's on Kickstarter currently. I'll share the link in the description below. It's fully funded, so please check it out. Really, really intriguing little concept here. And I look forward to it when it comes to retail. Next on the list is War on Terra by AWA Games, a really cool sci-fi game with myriad factions. And when I say myriad factions, I mean it. 63 factions apparently in the game. The two that you can see here on the screen are the humans and the grey, i.e. the little grey men, which I really like. So we looked at the gameplay, you'll see it from the montage again, and very, very interesting in the sense that a single squad can consist of a single model, but as long as they share the same keyword with another, they can group up and keep on grouping up as long as they share keywords. So potentially if you had two squads of, say, five troops, and they became weakened, they lost a couple of each, they could then regroup together to form a separate unit because they share a keyword, which I think is much more realistic from a warfare perspective. It also adds a tactical depth to it, i.e. if you want to separate a unit and separate one figure, they can then become a viable target and block line of sight for the others. So all of the enemy units will have to shoot at that one individual, and it would block the rest of the unit. If he survives, he could then rejoin the unit, and then they could fire back at full force. Really, really interesting angle to it there. So I'll just show you some of the other models here. You can see there. These are from the Grey faction. Nice little drones. And again, I love these so much. They're just so classical sci-fi. But with a unique element to it, i.e. the ridge bones and that. Very, very cool. Very, very crisp. It's on Kickstarter at the moment for another 24 hours. It's fully funded again, so please check it out. And the link again is in the description below. And now with the highlights of the expo out of the way, it's time to find out what I actually bought and to see whether I came in under the £50 budget. Let's find out, shall we? So first up is a free Tesla Marine from War on Terra. Really, really nice sculpt, very reminiscent of the Sauder car from the latest Dune film that came out a couple of years ago. It is 3D printed at the moment, but the guys are producing them in resin for when it comes to retail launch. But for the time being, it's a really nice little free gift that could be used as a captain or a hero in whatever agnostic game you want to use it in. So thanks very much, guys, for that. Really, really nice. Next up was a free RPG called Breaking Infinity. This actually paired with a movie that was being shown at the expo. I didn't get to see the movie purely because I was so busy, and it's showing in some other places. If I move my fat hand out of the way, you'll be able to see that, hopefully. So, it's a 30-page book. It seems to be about breaking out of an alternative reality. Matrixy kind of vibes off it. I'm not a big RPG player, but I think 30 pages and the actual effort that's gone into that is incredible. And they were just giving it away. Couldn't believe it. Really, really nice little gift there. So if you want to have a Google of that, it might be for you. Maybe you can download it for free. So I'll just put that out of the way. And we'll move on to the next free gift, which was an expansion pack to the Bill and Ted game that Wayland Games put out a couple of years ago in line with the third film. This contains plastic figures for the historical figures that you'd see in the first Bill and Ted film when they go back in time. So some really cool poses there. You could use them in historical games, or if you just need a wacky hero bounty hunter kind of thing, you can modify them. Really like that, so thank you for that. Really good little free gift. Now on to the purchases. So the first purchase of the expo for me was this from a game called Ironclads. It was a Victorian sort of steampunk airship game. I didn't get to demo it, unfortunately, because the table was rammed, but £10 for an individual figure. They're solid resin. Triple Ace Games is selling the starter set for £85. The box weighed an absolute ton. It is solid resin, really impressive, and I really look forward to seeing how that plays in the future when I have some more time to look into it. Next up for purchases was the He-Man and Battle Cat figure from the Masters of the Universe Battleground game from Archon Studios. This was £15, and it's a solid bit of like plastic. Really, really stylized, really heroic pose in there. Absolutely love it. Battle Cat not being a coward at all, just charging in. I really like the box as well because it's very reminiscent of the old toy line. It's also one of the more reasonable starter sets at £60, and I probably will do a video on that. And finally, for £20, is this game Wreck and Ruin by Dream Big Games. It's very Mad Maxy sort of style, 10mm scale. It's 4 full teams in the box. They had them painted up on the stand at the expo, and they hold detail incredibly well. And what I really like about it is if you can look at the pictures there, you can see they've each got holes in each of the miniatures, which you can put flame counters in because they've actually manufactured flame pegs that fit into them. So when they're taking damage, they can blow up. Really good. So with that final purchase coming in at £20, my total spend for the expo was only £45. So I came in at £5 under budget. I'm actually quite surprised. I thought I was going to be like a child in a candy shop, just going like, and grabbing whatever I could see that took my fancy. But no, there were some really, really good games there, though, had I allocated more money to it. A couple of honourable mentions. First off is the Dystopian Wars naval game by Warcradle Studios. That was probably the best demo of the day that I had. Played really smoothly, the model's nice crisp resin. All of the weapons on the ships can be slotted out so you can build if you're into your meta builds and things like that. So really, really nice. £95 for a 2-player starter set, which isn't too bad considering the amount you get in there. A second honourable mention is for a game called Trench War. It's a small-scale World War I skirmish game, about 3 to 5 models a side. It's played on quite a small board as well. They had a lovely demo, which you'll see in the montage, of an actual trench setup. It's got some unique mechanics in it as well. For instance, gas coming into the trench at the start of a turn, and if it hits you, it's potentially taking you out of action before you can even do anything. So true to history. And it looked really cool. I'll be watching that one with interest as well. So all in all, it can be done on a budget. I had a really good time. chatted to some really, really good creators, and I've got my eye on a lot of their games that are going to be coming through the pipeline soon. If you haven't been to the expo before, I highly recommend that you get it in your calendar for next year. So it is an annual thing. It's well worth the go. Just a couple of other things to mention as well. If you are interested in other types of games, some of the big pulls this year was the trading card game by Ravensburger, where they partnered with Disney called Lorcana. That was getting a lot of attention. And the other miniatures game, which unfortunately I couldn't get a demo of, was the Star Wars Shatterpoint by Atomic Mass Games. The models for that look absolutely lovely. My only concern about it is the entry price point being £150 for what is essentially 12 models. It's not an automatic deterrent for me, but I think I will need to see some more gameplay in order to make a decision whether it's actually worth purchasing. But that is premium price for what might be mediocre to average gameplay. So we'll have to wait and see for that. And of course, for those of you that attended Warhammer Fest or couldn't attend Warhammer Fest and couldn't demo 10th edition, I'm well aware that the rules have now leaked in their entirety. But there were some games of 10th edition being played in the Warhammer section at the UK Games Expo as well, behind the giant Terminator, which you saw from the montage. Looked really fun. The only thing I can't get my head around is the Screamer Killer model. Me and my friend both discussed it and said it looks horrific on the tabletop. I'm sorry if that's, I'm sorry if you like that model, but I think it looks dreadful. But yeah, a really, really good day out. Some really good indie games coming through. So yeah, please check out those that I've mentioned. And if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe, share, all the good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.